10 minutes till we get the closing bell here. Janet Yellen's chances of remaining Federal Reserve Chair may have taken a hit yesterday, not because she talked about unwinding the balance sheet or she held rates steady, but because she suggested that some key financial regulations should stay in place, and these are regulations against the banks. Could Kevin Warsh's family ties give him the upper hand with Gary Cohn, who might be on the ropes? Wait, I don't understand that.
By the way, great interview.
Thank you.
Made some news there with the firm commitment on the
defense weapons from the United States.
They should actually put that up on the .com. That's a real story.
How is it possible or okay that any country would aggressively today it's like, okay, Mexico takes back Texas? I mean, how is that okay?
It's not okay. Or us taking back, something else, it's pretty absurd. But anyway, let's get to this. This is an interesting story because it does have a lot to do with your money and how the markets might perform. There's a guy that I would say is the dark horse, but the guy in the pole position, the lead position of replacing Janet Yellen. And I don't believe, based on who I'm talking to in Washington, who know the sort of inner circle of Trump, that Janet Yellen is going to be is going to remain as Fed chair. And here's the likelihood is that Gary Cohn, Trump, from what I understand, is still kind of steamed at him over his critique of Trump's Charlottesville remarks. So that's the NEC chief. He's not going to get it.
Are you sure?
That's what I hear. Who is in the pole position right now? Okay, now, Trump is known to change. I'm not saying this is written in stone. And it's a guy named Kevin Warsh. And let's talk a little bit about who he is. He's a former Fed governor directly involved in the bailouts with Bernanke and Geithner in 2008 as a Fed governor. He's a Republican. But here's what's key to Gary Cohn. Besides being a really smart guy, he's now a professor at the Stanford Business School. So this guy's been around, worked at Morgan Stanley early in his career, then in government on economic policy. But the real sort of key for Kevin Warsh is to know his family ties to Trump. His wife is a Lauder. His father-in-law is John Lauder. This is a guy that, let's be real clear here, is very close. John Lauder is an old-time friend of, Ronald Lauder.
I was going to say, what you mean Este's long-lost brother?
Here he goes.
That we've never heard of?
Lauder.
Ronald Lauder, we know.
Who's huge in Republican politics in New York State. I think he ran as a Conservative Party candidate.
Big benefactor, big art guy, really good businessman.
Very close to Sheldon Adelson, who's a major Republican campaign contributor. That's his father-in-law. That gives him the leg up in this thing as of right now. Ronald Lauder is a confidant of Trump. Trump's a confidant of Ronald Lauder. He is considered the odds-on favorite right now. So what does that mean for monetary policy? I will say this. Kevin Warsh is a Republican. He is not a hawk. So I don't see the taper or the unwind going faster under him. He's a realist when it comes to monetary policy. So he would net be not as dovish as Janet Yellen, but not crazy on the other end. But the fact that he was involved in the bank bailouts with all the Fed intervention, all the money printing and everything else, means that I think we're not going to see something to the right of Attila the Hun go into the Fed chairman. This is not a guy that's going to be a major hawk. He's going to be Yellen, just a little right to Yellen. That's what we'll see if he gets the nod. In terms of bank regulation, I bet he will follow Trump's lead in terms of bank regulation, which was to deregulate the banking industry, get rid of Dodd-Frank. He would actually be very good at doing that, I think, because he understands why Dodd-Frank was created and how it was created. And he understands the financial crisis enough to know what really caused the financial crisis. Was it all these mechanisms that Dodd-Frank puts in place, which a lot of them wasn't? There's a thing called proprietary trading that banks can't do right now. But guess what? It almost had nothing to do with the financial crisis. Right. He will know that. So I think Warsh seems to be the odds-on favorite here. I would say if you're looking at a market play on Warsh, it's net positive for the markets because he's not a total hawk. He's not going to do the unwind of this Fed's balance sheet very fast, which would essentially cause markets, I think, to erupt negatively. And he knows the banking system, and he's for deregulation.
Stanford Business School visiting fellow.
Yeah.
I got rejected by Stanford. Join the crowd, right? I mean, they rejected me.
But you went to Berkeley, didn't you?
So, I went to Berkeley, their rival.
I got accepted to
By the way,
I got accepted to Pace.
Steve Bannon is going to speak at Berkeley.
Really?
And he is going to get his free speech. They've learned.
By the way,
you've got to let people give
By the way,
free
if
speech.
they give Bannon a hard time, anybody that attacks him, I know Bannon, he'll smack him back.
Well, that's what, listen,
Yeah.
that's what free speech is all about.
Yeah, why should you have to fight? Why should you have to fight to say something?
Out of all places, my alma mater, where the free speech movement was born,
I went to the best.
Not good.
I went to the best journalism school in the
down.
country, University of Missouri. Its reputation is tarnished because it turned into some sort of anti-free speech mecca as a journalism school.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think the journalism school went there. I think the rest of the school did, but it's horrible. What they're doing to college campuses is so horrible.